Alain Prost is considered by many to be one of the greatest F1 drivers of all time. The Frenchman won 4 world championships with 51 race wins over 12 seasons before retiring from Formula One after the 1993 season. Interestingly, it was a late decision to retire from F1 after 1993. Prost had been considering returning to McLaren for the 1994 season, replacing former rival Ayrton Senna. However, after testing the 1994 McLaren and being disappointed by the car's handling and engine, Prost decided not to return as a race driver, although he would continue working for McLaren as a test driver until 1996. Prost also had other opportunities to do more seasons in F1, such as driving for Ligier in 1992, or even driving for his own team in 1997, but the Frenchman also turned down these opportunities. But what if Prost didn't turn them down and did these extra seasons? Could Prost have achieved any more race wins? And how would this affect the Frenchman's legacy? Well, let's start with the 1992 season. Alain Prost was fired from Ferrari towards the end of 1991 after a winless season with the Scuderia. The Frenchman decided to take a sabbatical in 1992, however he very nearly ended up driving for Ligier instead. You see, Ligier were using Renault engines, and since both companies were French, they really liked the idea of having the most successful French F1 driver in one of their cars alongside the Belgian Thierry Boutsen. Prost did extensive testing for Ligier before the 1992 season, and even set a new lap record at the Circuit Paul Ricard during a preseason test. Originally he did the testing disguised as test driver Eric Comas to try and not grab the attention of the media, although this was ineffective to say the least. Negotiations between all parties kept going until February, where Ligier were somewhat forced into signing Comas for the 92 season since negotiations with Prost were taking too long. But how would Prost do at Ligier had he decided to race for them? Well, the Ligier struggled with a lack of grip, and the only real advantage of the car was the excellent Renault engines that they were using, especially after they got upgraded at the Hungarian Grand Prix. I think that Prost would have scored more points than Eric Comas did in 1992 and would comfortably beat teammate Thierry Boutsen throughout the season. But I doubt that Prost would have been able to drag the Ligier to even a podium finish or anything more than that. I imagine we would see Prost at Ligier the same way as Damon Hill at Arrows in 1997, excluding the podium in Hungary. One mostly forgettable season at a midfield team while they wait for a seat at a better team to become available. Which certainly would be the case for the Frenchman, who would almost definitely still move up to Williams in 1993 regardless of how he did at Ligier, due to Renault wanting the French world champion at the Grove-based team. Moving on to 1993 now, which was a great season for Alain Prost. The Frenchman scored 13 pole positions and 7 wins on his way to his 4th world championship. And while Prost would have liked to remain at Williams for 1994, Ayrton Senna was determined to join Williams in 1994 after another dominant season in 1993. Despite Prost being adamant that Senna shouldn't join the team, Williams decided to sign the Brazilian anyway. Prost had no interest in reliving his intense rivalry with Senna, and decided to leave Williams after just 1 season. So where would the reigning champion go? Well, for a while it looked like Prost would return to McLaren, where he had won his previous 3 championships. However, the Frenchman decided that he no longer wanted to race in F1. Instead, he became a test driver for McLaren from 1994 to 1996. But if Prost decided to race for McLaren during these years, how would it have gone? Well, the mid-90s were a pretty disappointing time for the Woking-based team. The highly anticipated Peugeot engines proved to be a disaster, and even after switching to Mercedes power, the team was just never able to compete with Williams and Benetton during this time period. McLaren during these years were consistently the best of the rest, behind the 3 frontrunners of Benetton, Williams, and Ferrari, finishing 4th in the Constructors' Championship in all 3 seasons. The Frenchman should easily have been able to get a few podiums during these seasons, but a race win would be unlikely. Honestly, the most interesting point of Prost driving for McLaren would be how he would fare against teammate Mika Häkkinen. The Finn was a rising star during this time, so how he would perform compared to Prost could help make or break his career. It could have led to an exciting inter-team battle and would have added to the list of great teammates that Prost had in F1. Finally, we have the 1997 season, where Alain Prost bought the Ligier Formula One team that he nearly drove for in 1992, and renamed it after himself. Prost had no interest in driving for the team initially and was happy with the driver lineup of Frenchman Olivier Panis, who had won the Monaco Grand Prix the year prior, and Japanese rookie Shinji Nakano, who joined the team courtesy of engine supplier Mugen Honda. The Prost JS45 was a surprisingly good car, especially in the hands of Olivier Panis. Panis was running third in the championship before the Canadian Grand Prix when he broke his legs. Highlights for the Frenchman included finishing third at the Brazilian Grand Prix, threatening Villeneuve for the lead in Argentina before he retired with electrical problems, and very nearly winning the Spanish Grand Prix. After the Canadian Grand Prix, the rest of the season did not go so well, with Shinji Nakano having a terrible rookie season and Panis' replacement Jarno Trulli, another rookie, failing to achieve what the Frenchman did due to his lack of experience. However, after Panis broke his legs, there were rumors of Alain Prost driving for the team until Panis had recovered. So how would Prost have done as the first major team owner driver since Jack Brabham? The Prost JS45 was strong at some circuits, such as the German Grand Prix in Hockenheim where Trulli finished fourth, and the Austrian Grand Prix, where Trulli led for over half of the race before eventually retiring with engine failure. So it is possible that Alain Prost could have some strong results in 1997. But something that could hold the Frenchman back is his age. Prost would be 42 years old at this point and might not have been ready physically to suddenly return as an F1 driver. So it is unlikely that he would perform as well as he did back in 1993. Personally, I feel that Alain Prost could do slightly better than Jarno Trulli did in reality, due to the Frenchman's experience and conservative driving style making him less likely to make mistakes like rookie Trulli did. But I doubt that he would do anything amazing before Olivier Panis returned. So in conclusion, how different would Alain Prost's career be had he done any of these extra seasons? Well, honestly, nothing amazing was lost from Prost not doing these extra seasons. Prost would achieve nothing of interest at Ligier in 1992. A return to McLaren could have some novelty to it, but apart from some podiums, I think that the only interesting thing about this McLaren stint would be how the Frenchman would perform against future world champion Mika Hakkinen. Similarly, driving for his own team would be an interesting bit of trivia, but it is unlikely that the Frenchman would have achieved anything amazing here as well. Speaking of trivia, if Alain Prost was to have driven for Ligier in 1992, McLaren in 1994, 1995 and 1996, and did the 7 races Olivier Panis had to miss in 1997, Prost would have entered 274 races in total, which would have put him ahead of Riccardo Patrese with the most races entered record at the time. Prost would pass him in 1996 and hold the record until being overtaken by Rubens Barrichello in the late 2000s. But what do you think about these extra seasons Alain Prost could have done? Do you wish he had competed in any of them? Let me know in the comments section down below, and I will see you next time.